In previous films, we have seen how presence defines status in Monaco when night falls. But behind the glittering lights and million-dollar supercars, there lies another layer of truth that few ever touch. Today, let's follow Madlen and Reka, two women who embody not only the beauty of elegance, but also a profound understanding of the principality's pulse. Together with them, we will decode the language of confidence and discipline, the very things that truly forge the character of the elite. Through their lens, is the luxury you see the final destination, or merely a means for a woman to assert her silent power? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to share the name of the lady whose poise you admire more, Madlen Paneva or Reka. Now, let us find the answer and step into the world behind the crystal shell right now. Monaco at night is not just a geographical coordinate, it is a state of mind. People often call this place a crystal, sparkling and resilient, yet requiring absolute care so that not a single flaw appears. However, if you only look at the brilliant lights from Casino Square, you are only seeing the outer shell. To truly understand the world of those operating the currents of power here, we must learn to observe what happens in the silence. In Monaco, a perfect appearance does not begin with the roar of an engine or the flash of a camera. It begins with the choice of timing. Observe how a lady steps out of a car in front of the Hôtel de Paris. It is not a rushed arrival to garner attention. There is a pause of about 3 seconds, a breath long enough to feel the space, letting the heel of her shoe touch the marble pavement with absolute certainty. They do not seek the camera lens. In fact, they move as if the camera does not exist. In the elite world, true luxury is the ability to master one's own time. They do not rush, because rushing is a sign of not yet having control over one's schedule. The supercars here also share a different fate. They are not tools for flaunting speed, but entities that walk alongside their owners. You will see a Ferrari stop at the entrance, the engine only whispering before falling completely silent. There is no revving, no redundant ostentation. The presence of this million-dollar machine is a silent affirmation of discipline. To own such an item is one thing, but to command it with composure in a city where every eye is watching is a test of mettle. True power is always in a state of stillness. Control does not come from how loud you speak, but from how much serenity you maintain while standing at the center of luxury. Women like Madlen or Reka, as they stroll through the streets, are not performing for an audience. They are maintaining an internal standard. It is the intersection of self-respect and respect for the shared space. They understand that in a community where everyone owns the best, the only thing that sets you apart is your attitude toward possession. As we go deeper into the night of the principality, we begin to realize this crystal shell is by no means fragile. It is built upon an underlying system of rules regarding moderation. Wealth here has reached the threshold of routine, a daily habit, and when something becomes a habit, it no longer needs to scream to be recognized. But what happens when this silence begins to speak? How do these exceptional individuals connect without the need for noisy introductions? We will step through the doors of more private spaces, where language lies not in words, but in the finely calibrated frequencies of emotion. Let us step deeper into a special language used only in Monaco, the language of silence. In a world full of the boisterous sounds of advertising and social media, the elite here choose a different frequency, lower, deeper, and profoundly powerful in its stillness. In the lounges of the Hôtel de Paris, or the balconies overlooking Port Hercules, you will rarely hear loud conversations or ostentatious laughter. Silence here is not the absence of sound, but a conscious choice. Observe how two longtime friends meet in a secluded corner of a club. They do not need frantic hugs or a barrage of social pleasantries. A slight nod, an understanding look, and a sufficient pause while sipping a glass of red wine. That is the recognition of status without the need for any explanation. In the world of silent luxury, the movement of people and machines also follows a dance of restraint. Look at how a supercar rolls through the tight corners of the legendary F1 track in the middle of the night. The driver does not intentionally floor the gas to create a resounding roar under the tunnels. Instead, the car glides smoothly, leaving only a faint trail of light reflecting off the windows of high-end fashion boutiques. That is the manifestation of control. They choose emptier roads and hours when tourists have begun to thin out, not to hide, but to enjoy a pure connection with the space and the machine they are operating. True value does not need to prove itself. When you have reached a certain level of confidence in your status and intellect, the need to be noticed by others vanishes. The Monaco elite understand that noise is often a manifestation of insecurity, while silence is the testament to a solid inner strength. This perspective invites us to reflect on silent power. Power does not lie in occupying space with sound, but in shaping space with presence. It is a type of mental discipline, the ability to remain calm before the temptations of showing off. In Monaco, wealth is not measured by the horsepower under the hood, but by the ability to keep the mind undisturbed by that horsepower. As the night gradually flows toward dawn, this silence begins to transform into another form of energy. It is no longer the stillness of observation, but the vibration of genuine connections. Conversations have now shed their ceremonial shell to touch upon more core values. But behind those calm smiles and minimalist gestures, what rhythm does the heart of Monaco truly beat to? We will explore that right now as the lights begin to focus on the most authentic interactions behind closed doors. If silence is the language, then connection is the inner heartbeat of the principality. In this part, we do not look at buildings or luxury items, but at the most precious thing in the high society world, the network of trust. The heart of Monaco does not lie in the electronic numbers on the casino boards, but in distilled conversations where every word carries the weight of a commitment. In the space of a private party or a late dinner at Sass Cafe, the elite do not come seeking the excitement of the crowd. They come to find each other. Observe how they interact. There is no rush in exchanging business cards, no superficial handshakes. Every gesture exudes a fine calibration. When Madlen or Reka sit down with friends, the focus of the evening is not the expensive menu, but the flow of emotion and intellect between individuals on the same frequency. They understand an unwritten rule. Intimacy is a privilege, and it is only granted to those who know how to respect the boundaries of others. A practical example of this lifestyle is how they choose the spaces they belong to. You will see them leave the most glittering events at the exact moment they become too noisy, seeking a yacht anchored quietly offshore or a garden hidden behind ancient stone walls. There, under soft lighting, stories about heritage, ocean conservation, or art projects are shared. This is when silent power is most evident, not by giving orders, but by inspiring and building shared understanding. The profound lesson we realize from this heart is, true luxury lies in the quality of relationships. The Monaco elite maintain a self-imposed discipline in choosing their companions. They understand that personal energy is finite, and spending it on superficial interactions is a waste of one's greatest asset. Control here is the ability to refuse fleeting glamour, to hold on to sustainable core values. This perspective invites us to ponder. Perhaps true power is not the ability to go anywhere or do anything, but having a community where you are understood without having to perform. Behind the veneer of supercars and vibrant nightlife, Monaco is a lesson in selectivity. Luxury is essentially just a backdrop. The protagonists are always those who know how to maintain themselves amidst the flow of fame. But to maintain that enduring heartbeat in a volatile world requires relentless preparation behind closed doors. That confidence does not happen by accident. It is the result of a rigorous training process for both the intellect and the soul. We will move to the next part to see the quiet efforts, where the effortless poise is actually the fruit of iron discipline. As the lights from the signs of Casino Square begin to soften, giving way to the deep darkness of the Mediterranean, another chapter of Monaco life begins to emerge. This is when we look behind the lights, not to seek dark corners, but to understand the iron discipline and the price of perfection. In Monaco, the effortless poise you see in Madlen or Reka is actually an achievement of relentless preparation. The reality is that in Monaco, nothing is accidental. Observe how the elite move through the steep pedestrian streets late at night. They do not walk aimlessly. Every stop, from a bar hidden in a small alley to waiting for a driver on the curb, exudes a spatial calculation. They know the map of the city like the back of their hand, not just the geography, but the map of safety and privacy. Choosing to appear somewhere at 2 in the morning is a tactical decision. It allows them to maintain a connection with the nightlife world without being dissolved into the chaos of the tourist crowds. This control is also clearly shown in how they treat their bodies and spirits, right in the heart of luxury. You might see them holding a sophisticated cocktail all night, but in reality, they only sip it in moderation. Sobriety is a form of power. In the high society world, losing control of one's behavior also means losing the dignity that was painstakingly built. The lesson here is simple yet profound. True freedom is not doing everything you want, but having enough discipline not to do things that affect your personal value. Power is not a black card or the key to a limited edition supercar. Power lies in the management of expectations. The Monaco elite live under an invisible but gargantuan pressure. The pressure to always be the best version of themselves in every frame, whether a camera is present or not. Luxury is essentially a protective shell, but it is the internal discipline that keeps that shell from cracking against the flow of time and social shifts. Behind the lights, Monaco is a lesson in restraint. When wealth becomes obvious, people begin to seek more refined values, health, clarity, and quiet moments to regenerate energy. That is why their elegance looks so natural, because it has been practiced until it became instinct. But once those quiet efforts are understood, we need to look back at the big picture. What truly defines an admirable life in this land? Is it the combination of tangible assets and the intangible values we have just explored? As the first rays of dawn begin to tint the mountains above the Principality in pink, our journey through the world of Madlen and Reka also draws to a close. In this final chapter, we realize that Monaco is not just a location, but a test of self-mastery. At the center of the billionaire world material wealth ultimately recedes to make room for a more supreme power, the power of presence. Observe how the elite end a long night. There is no fatigue or exhaustion. They leave while still maintaining total alertness and composure, as if the party had only just begun. The choice to leave at the right time, before the lights get harsher and privacy is threatened, is exactly how they protect their image. They understand that in a tiny community where everyone knows each other, discretion is the most precious armor. The greatest lesson we can take away is the understanding of the price of luxury. It is not measured only by receipts at nightlife clubs or the value of supercars, but by personal discipline. To maintain a sustainable elite lifestyle, one must face a great responsibility toward one's image and status. Their freedom is a freedom within the framework of strict rules regarding conduct and work ethic. This perspective reminds us that true power always goes hand in hand with control and a deep understanding of one's own value. When you clearly know who you are, you no longer need validation from the crowd. True luxury, or silent luxury, is inner peace amidst a world full of superficial glitz. If the deep insights and refined pace of life in Monaco today have touched you, please help us spread these values by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. That is how you ensure you won't miss the next chapters in this inspiring journey of exploring the elite lifestyle. Thank you for walking with us through the night of the Principality, and we look forward to seeing you in our next stories of elegance and silent power.